This is Brace for Impact from Organizing for Better Tomorrow. I hope you guys are hanging in there because I feel like every day there's less and less to hang on to. But we're all trying our best, and that's what we're going to try to cut through here. The news from a progressive, COVID safe sort of perspective. If you don't think you need to be COVID safe, you can call it airborne safe. You can call it not getting your ass sick, or like maybe taking care of your health. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it beyond COVID safe, but I like the phrasing. That being said, so we're here in California. Not no, a bunch of us are here in California. See Jesse, you're in California. Heather, who's quiet. Usually she'll talk when moments.
Hi.
There she is. She's in California. And then our silent partner, who remained unnamed, is also in California. And we have been talking about the governor's race because I got the governor's race wrong last call. Like, it's weird to start a call when you're trying to tell people about all the things you got right, how you got it wrong. Because I thought Padilla was going to be more... Not Padilla, sorry, I keep doing this because my brain...
Becerra,
thank you. Not our senator, right? So, Becerra, I thought, would be doing much better in this race. I don't know, I the Latino vote's really powerful. I do think the Latino vote is underpolled. Like, I think that is not a good... Like, if those people come out and vote... But then again, we have no idea. But Swalwell is out. And Republicans, of all people, are crying about it. The Republicans are pretty much out in the open being like, dang it, here's our plan to win the California governorship is busted up now. Which we had talked about, that we thought that last call, the part of Bondi, right, getting removed, not last call before last, had to do with Swalwell getting a tip that there was a October surprise. And maybe we didn't get it exactly right, because it looks like the October surprise was a little bigger, little bit of a bigger deal. Because apparently this was like a well-kept secret or not well-kept secret, I think is what you're supposed to say. So it's like people kind of knew about it. You never know what relationship people have at home with their wives or what their deal is with these guys. But I would, I mean, the videos and the testimony and the, like, I think actually what came out, so you get these, we've been dealing with Epstein and, believe women, but you do whenever someone's in like a powerful political position, you have to kind of like just say, is this a political hit? You have to ask that to yourself. It's a requirement. You might be like, Don, you're wrong. It's not. No, even if you're going to throw the guy under the bus, you should still look, because if someone is making a political hit, you got to keep an eye on that person, because they're going to do more political hits. Once they get that taste of blood, they go for more. And that's what, like, Martin Shkreli, who released that video, was saying, how he's going to go after Ro Khanna next. But which I just still want to hear the Wu-Tang album, if he has a digital copy left over, that he was legally required to return in 2024. So the thing that my takeaway, though, is that video of him, like, aggressively making out with, like forcing himself on that sex worker in that hotel. That shows me someone, like, if that's what it takes, then let's get more of that, because that completely convinced me this guy and everything everyone says is true. There's no political hit, and for me I was already the guy that needs to go. But you're like, are you sure? Because it was the difference between being out of the governor's race and having to resign from Congress, right? And like being out of the governor's race because you're just not going to win because you're too unpopular. But you could, like, people have ridden out, scandals, but him having to resign is because it's so, he is that person.
And a lot of other women are coming forward too.
Yeah.
With their, their experiences with him too.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So
it's maybe it's why we say believe women, not believe woman. I don't know. I think you should believe people in general. But I have, in my time, I have had people, being when I was deep in politics, had people throw absolutely, like, the weirdest allegations thrown at you with nothing to support it. Like, people would do all kinds of stuff. Never getting called out. I don't know if you
saw it, but one of the women that's coming out was Nomiki.
Really?
I saw that too. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Really? I know Nomiki. She's like, I went
to
her house.
I know you do. That's why I mentioned it.
I interviewed her at her house. We've hung out tons of times. She's we don't, I think how we met. So I was introduced to her by this guy Jay at the platform committee, I think it was, and it was my first national event with the Bernie camp all there after doing the thing, and I was introduced to her because the guy was from California. We were like in line at a Starbucks because we weren't boycotting at the time, and I was just talking to people. They were buying Starbucks, so blame them. And I got introduced to her as the guy doing the delegates, and she turned at me and yelled, not like yelled, but like he snapped, "There are too many people doing that already. You can't be doing that." And he was like, no, he's like, the guy's actually been doing it. So apparently that was my window into the turmoil in the campaign over what we were doing with the delegates. And that pretty much defined my entire, I'll call it friendship. I mean, we had differences, but she's, I think it sucks if she came out as a victim in this.
She tweeted about it.
Yeah.
She was aggressively, he came on to her.
Get on.
Yeah. And then he also like DM'd her later, and she didn't think that he realized that she was the same person that he had hit on before.
Ooh. Man, yeah, what a mess. It's just, you don't, there's a phrase, you don't shit where you eat. And I know that that's not necessarily the best phrase, like how, but he is trying to cheat on his wife where he also does his job. And that's like, I mean, it seems like we want less of those people in politics. Am I out of control here? It seems like those are the people we want.
Yeah.
You know, like Democrats have allowed this stuff before for power, and I just think that's just not the way to handle it. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, the more you learn about it, and that sucks it happened.
And he wasn't that great on the issues either, so there's that.
Yeah, he was $1 million deep in AIPAC money too. And the candidate he replaced, his son is on the internet talking about how AIPAC funded Swalwell to replace his father in that.
Oh, race. I saw that. Yeah.
So that's pretty intense too. But the Shkreli mix in with the whole, that guy, if you don't know, he's like a pharmaceutical fraudster. But he basically just did what all the other pharmaceutical companies do, but instead of like doing it the like
quietly.
Yeah, quietly. He just like, I'm gonna rip these people off. Watch me rip these people off. I made so much money ripping these people off. And he's like, pretty much the whole time, just like saying that. And eventually people are like, no. No, you can't do that. And I do feel like actually he's responsible in a weird way for a lot of the increases in drugs, because it kind of like, when someone gets in trouble, it like shows how the government actually handles it, not theoretically, but actually handles it. And what they use to create intent. And now the companies to hide it much better because they saw, you can't say, it's kind of like Trump saying, I'm going to bomb them off of existence, and Obama bombing large parts of civilization out of existence. And everyone loves Obama, but Obama did constant bombings, constant innocent civilians, constant, not like, from a progressive standpoint, anti-war standpoint, right, Jess? I mean,
it's horrible to do, but once you announce it, you're announcing intent.
Right. Yeah, and that really changes the whole dynamic. So, so I hope that the victims of Swalwell can get some peace. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we got him out so fast." It's like, yeah, this is really, really bad. I mean, it would take a lot less. It would take a lot less to for me to say is really, really bad. So this is like really, really, how many really? It's like 5 or 6. Like, it's really bad. I absolutely believe everybody involved, and it does not look like it's a political hit. So, and that clears out the California race, which I had gotten wrong, which I wasn't in the thing for Swalwell. I thought Becerra was going to be doing better, but it looks like it's going to come down to Steyer and what's her name?
Possibly Katie Porter.
Katie Porter.
Right, which I find that very surprising after the turnout in she ran for Senate. It didn't go very well. She pulled like about as much as she's pulling right now. I think it was like 13% or something like that. It was pretty low. But again, that'll get you through top 2 right now, because this election makes no sense at all. So, and
a lot can happen between now and June 2nd.
Yeah. I find it unlikely for Steyer to have some like skeleton in his closet because he's done so many elections. I mean, he's a billionaire, so obviously he has probably literal skeletons in his closet, but I don't think he has anything that's like to come out. And then
Those are just skeletons he bought.
yeah. Oh no, I keep that one just in case. So it's a backup skeleton. Yeah, no, I don't even want to think about it anymore. But yeah, and then Katie Porter kind of, I liked Katie Porter, but she does have a habit of getting videotaped, like yelling at staff. I'm not endorsing anybody in this campaign. I actually would be perfectly fine with Katie Porter as governor if she wins, but I feel like with the way this race is going, I anticipate if these guys got anything to come out, it's coming out. Like, the Republicans want California. Like, I can really see it. And we're learning more about, did you hear, we didn't talk about this during pre-call, did you hear about that influencer who had a baby with Elon Musk has come out to talk about how intricate the right-wing, propaganda wheel is? How all these people you see all over the place and how they're all engaged with each other, and like it feels like they're able to get talking points out.
I haven't seen that, but I believe it.
Yeah. He has a lot of different.
Yeah, they've been great at that for years.
So this is one of his. Doesn't he have like multiple different babies with multiple different women, right?
Oh yeah. He's got to spread it around, spread the wealth.
Yeah, you can say
right.
that. Yeah, but he does it in a lab apparently. It's I think her name's St. Clair.
Okay.
I think.
But she's talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's the one who had some kind of expose. Yeah, Ashley St. Clair. So she's come out and she's kind of turning on this thing.
Was she the one who was trying to get a hold of him on social media, saying, "I need your help, Elon, for your son"?
Yeah, with Romulus is his son's name.
Yeah, Romulus.
I like how the AI overview doesn't even know how many kids he has. It says she is considered the mother. It's just a Google search, but it's not really. I hate how they call it out. It says she considered the mother of one of Musk's youngest children, making him a father of at least 13 to 14 children.
Yeah.
Well, there's that black guy who came out who looks exactly like Elon Musk, who says he's Elon Musk's illegitimate son from South Africa. He does look like, it looks like a Photoshop copy of like Elon Musk with different colored skin. So I haven't really like investigated it. So many things you see on the internet that just, it's the internet, man. What is even real is tougher by the day. But we had to thank for that. He's getting his rewards with Sam Altman. So we had AI is apparently destroying like the world. As I talk about using it to search information on Elon Musk's kids. I hate that they call it that 'cause it's just a Google search, but they added AI to everything to make it seem more AI-ish, I guess. So we can hate it now. Now we have a reason to hate it. But the Sam Altman's house got Molotov cocktail. They got the cocktail you don't drink. And then his house got shot up a couple days later. And I want to say something that I found very interesting on the reporting on it. Even in big news, it wasn't just TikTokers, but TikTokers did it too. Where they would say, here's the location where the shooting happened, showing a direct map of where his house is. But we're not going to show you the suspect's picture out of privacy for the suspect. And I was like, okay. Okay. All right. That's
one way to share the story.
Yeah. It was weird to see it from like NBC News shared that way, and they had a map, like they had a aerial map with a dot where his house was. You could like find it by streets.
They had a map. Oh my god.
Yeah, they had a map with the like.
Don't do anything naughty.
Yeah.
They put out a trail of breadcrumbs, but don't go there.
Don't eat the bread. Don't eat this, because if you eat it, then the next person won't be able to find it. And that's, oh man, I don't even know. I saw the funniest thing where someone's like, "Can we tell all these people who are scrapping copper that these data centers are literally just full of some of the most valuable scrap, and they have almost no staff?" And I'm just like, I sat there with that for way too long, just being like, wow, that is going to be a problem for them at some point, because you have the most expensive, valuable scrap imaginable, just sitting there with no one watching it. And you're like, like, you guys are getting out of control. But that brings us to the warehouse fires, which were, what was the count? Someone said they had a count.
Yeah, I forget. Was it 8?
I think it's
8.
It was 8. There were 8 different warehouse fires. They're being disputed. They're like, is it fraud? Is it the thing? Are they the same fires being filmed by different people? But there have been I've seen at least 3 or 4 that seem like completely independent things. So, so that's interesting. You know, when I think this was the most interesting takeaway I heard from the whole thing is someone referred to it as like, this is like the people's Boston Tea Party moment.
People are aggrieved, and you know, they're pissed off, and they're just, you know, it's probably going to get a lot worse than this. But,
yeah. And they arrested they arrested that one guy who burned down the place way faster than they arrested anyone in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Which we have to start talking about the Epstein files again now that, or are we going to stay as like, is like Trump staying at war with Iran, kind of like Netanyahu getting his criminal stuff discontinued by continuing to attack Lebanon, which Trump the other day, I want to say that it was Donna from our team said this, and I'm gonna read what she said. It still makes me laugh. She goes, 2026, and I'm here debating which is worse. The president blasphemously, social saying that, portrays himself as literal Jesus, or the president drags the literal Pope for being pro-peace. And my response was, well, it's been a busy day. And so yeah, it was a busy day where Trump couldn't decide if he was Jesus or a doctor.
Yeah, first they threatened the Pope, and then he comes out and says, the Pope is soft on crime.
Soft on crime and on nukes.
Yeah, national security and soft on crime.
Yeah, it's so weird to be.
One of the things that's interesting is though, with this whole dragging the Pope thing, Catholics and evangelicals have been kind of in alliance on the right for quite a while.
Yeah.
Over the abortion issue primarily.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing that alliance is getting smashed.
Yeah, we're seeing it crack actually pretty hard on social media. I mean, the bots are doing the bot
real
thing,
hard.
But I see more and more people like, I don't know. I think Trump trying to be decided by God is a little different than Trump being like, "Hey, I am God."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
actually, evangelicals don't really like Catholics. They don't think they're real Christians. And Catholics are starting to realize that, hey, these people kind of suck. They never even liked us anyway. So it's interesting.
And there was the whole thing with they weren't allowing the Catholics to come to some Easter thing, but Trump then didn't show up anyways.
They had an Easter service. They had a Good Friday service for the Protestants, and they had nothing for Catholics. Yeah. And Pete Hegseth's pastor has said that he thinks a lot of Catholic ceremonies should be banned because he's a total white supremacist, fascist, Nazi preacher. And he had a service in February for the troops.
I feel like we're watching Trump like, it's like, what's that movie? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? What's that movie, Lee? What? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
Yeah, that was a movie.
Yeah, that was a movie. It's like How to Lose the Presidency in 10 Days. Like how he's like trying to race to be as he's like, oh, I heard my polls are going down, and someone flips it over.
Let's
like, no, sir.
Some more people.
No, it's like this. The poll, he's so disillusioned by the people around him. They like show him polling material, and they just like flip it around so it makes it look like he's going up. And he's like, great, let's make it go up more.
They show it to him upside down.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I don't know how it's going to play out because most of the Supreme Court is Catholic too, but they're like right-wing Catholic, Opus Dei type people. they are no fans of the Pope. The Pope is actually going after Opus Dei, as Francis started to do, and it looks like this Pope is going to finish the job.
Jeez, make him sound like
So
John
I
Wick.
don't know what's going to happen with the whole.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe church gossip isn't everybody's thing, but I'm interested.
No, I didn't know you were so interested. Thank you for sharing. I knew it was bad. I didn't know the details. Now everyone knows the details.
Yeah, there's so many different sects, and they're not all fans of each other.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
No, they're not fans of each other, and they get mad when you like confuse them with the other one.
Opus Dei. Leonard Leo is also a numerary for Opus Dei, the guy that packed the judiciary and recommended all the right-wing judges that have ruined our courts. That whole crowd is very. Alito and Thomas are both Opus Dei. Amy Coney Barrett's, of course, her own weird thing.
Yeah, I read a thing, and we talked about this on the show, but I feel like I see this sentiment now other places where I feel like that people are now not afraid of Trump anymore. Like, I feel like Trump getting actually stopped by the judges and vaccines still happening and everything. Yeah, they did tear down a chunk of the White House. And yeah, he's destroying the country and it's like trying to beat Biden on inflation, which is a really tough act to follow. Because that was just the mishandling. I'm never I don't care how bad Trump is going to be. I'm never going to forgive that because it has to do with how he ended really the pandemic and that support. It's just and restarted all the bad parts of our government. Still makes me angry. That being said, what Trump is doing is on a whole other level of abomination, and it just seems like every day. But I do feel like there's just been this like there's a sentiment of like, well, he'll just do whatever he'll do and no one will stop him. And
now he's starting to lose.
He's starting to lose a lot, and it's just making things worse. And I think that people are starting to realize that by enabling him, they're just making things so much worse. And so, and I mean, you know, I really want to see accountability. Like, we talk about all this stuff with, like, Swalwell being, like, a sexual predator and a sex pest. And, like, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files being a, like, pedophile and, like, baby murderer, like just on a whole other level. And I feel like when you like, one of the things that I've seen as a criticism from a lot of people is how people are so against that, but then they allow this other thing, and just, you know, it's sort of got to like bring it around when you compare things too evenly on how uneven these comparisons actually are. You know, how much worse of a person he is. And I just feel like now people are seeing that. Like, I feel like also like the Melania video we were talking about, where she came out and she said she didn't know Jeffrey Epstein and all this sort of stuff. I was theorizing that that's her distancing herself from her husband a little bit, but it also has to do with this other guy who was a little bit more involved with introducing them, and what's going on with her wife getting deported. Like, there's this, or his wife, sorry. So there's just like a whole like complicated narrative going down, but I think all of this is because the veneer is cracking. The gold spray paint only lasts for so long, right? It's not real gold. They just spray paint it, and that shit cracks. So we're seeing the gold spray paint crack. Man.
The one other thing about her, Melania, coming out like that, besides it being strange and like sort of like, you know, don't look at me and my husband, there was also the other side of it that she was calling for, the victims to be able to testify in that speech. So that was kind of, I mean, that seems like a little bit of a departure from her husband.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also Epstein has like a ton of victims that have nothing to do with like Trump. You know what I mean? There are tons. You could have a whole day of Epstein victims talking, probably several days, and not get to one that Trump was actually engaged with. That's not to say that Trump wasn't engaged with a lot of them. It's that the volume of victims Epstein has is really...
Right. You could probably listen to testimony for 2 weeks and still not hear Trump's name.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you wanted to, absolutely. Like, the amount of victims he has is just otherworldly. It was a machine. It was just... Ugh. And then we found out recently that he was having sex with people while he was in jail still. He had, like, a car. What? Yeah, he had, like, an out prisoner thing where he could, like, work outside of the prison, and he had, like, a car with a bed in it, and, like, women have talked about having sex with him during this period. This was out like a couple of days ago. I just read this.
When he was like in Florida, or not? Like,
I think more recently, but maybe not. I might be confusing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But my point was that even when he was incarcerated, he was still finding ways to like create victims. It's like,
Right.
such a pattern serial abuser. And the stuff with Trump is like, it just seems like it's just the worst part of it, though. It's like the worst. Like when you get into like the really bad stuff, Trump is there. Not to say it's not all really bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just relative to reality.
The baby killing.
Yeah, it just oh god, it just gets worse and worse every time.
And those are the things that are allegations. There's so many crimes that Trump has been involved in that are just like out in the open.
Or not sex crimes. Like he has like how he's treated workers, how he's treated the thing. I mean, I think just like burying his wife on a golf course for a tax deal is
That's odd.
That's enough for me. Then there's all the January 6th. I mean, we just go on and on and on. I had someone arguing with me that it wasn't Biden's power to oversee the Justice Department to decide on whether or not Trump was going to get convicted or prosecuted for that. You know, like
What?
Yeah. Yeah. What? Like, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, I've been trying to like cuss less on the internet just because I feel like
It's called the Justice Department.
I know. No, it's supposed to be an independent part of the government. It doesn't work under that. You're like, well, that's why they nominate a person that they report to. Like, it's like, I don't even understand. It's weird how like the neolibs, and they're like really out right now, really hard. And if I say neolibs that way, it is a pejorative. So if they're like, you're saying like a pejorative, it is a pejorative. When the neolibs are out here trying to like push for status quo and trying to revision history, all the people who lost to Trump, like, just it's amazing how they speak about democratic power as president as like such a like the president doesn't have any power. What are you talking about? They can't do that. And you're like, we're literally watching the limits of what Trump was the power will allow. We're literally watching Trump do way too much. But there are powers like what are we dealing with right now? That this is something we always said they could do. And it's just a reality. It's frustrating, but they could do it was ACIP.
Mhm.
They're rewriting the charter. Biff, I don't know if you're still with us, but the because I've tossed you in a while. But what was the details on the charter change? Do you remember off the top of your head? It was like changing basically the level of expertise that was required. Like we were joking that I could be a member now, which I don't.
Right. I mean, I don't know about level of expertise, but I think they explicitly mentioned more different career fields where they want people to come from than they had ever mentioned before. I believe that's the tangible difference that we can see.
Yeah, so they're changing the charter to allow different people to be there, and will open the door for people who were previously ineligible by the judge because it didn't follow the charter, would now be eligible. And we also got the guy they're going to replace Vinay Prasad at CBER, and that's another non-starter. We got a name on that, and it's
Didn't hear about that.
yeah, we were talking about during pre-call. It just sounds like another. Where do they keep finding these problematic people? That's what I want to know. Like it seems like a bottomless well of just goddamn problems.
I mean, I know I certainly wouldn't want the job at this point, so I can't imagine that they're dealing with very high-level applicants.
Well, you're back to the whole thing. Like people are getting less afraid of Trump. They're getting less afraid of RFK. So I mean, there's going to be like less room for these people to like really have to do stuff. It's just I feel like the
whole administration is tainted at this point.
Yes, that's certainly one way to put it. Yeah, I would say so. Because you only have a couple of guys, like main people who left. And this is the same thing that happened during Trump last time, because Trump was like, by the time COVID had hit, Trump was in complete disarray. And that's why he just kind of like went with what the Democratic people said, because he really didn't have anyone to tell him any different. Like, he literally didn't have anyone at that point. He had alienated or fired everybody. It was like a who's who of revolving chairs on seats. And now it's so bad, you got Chuck with what's his name? He's running the NIH and Bhattacharya, thank you. He's running both the NIH and the CDC right now, right?
Acting director of
Yes.
CDC.
Yeah, so they're like at least short on positions that way. And again, if you guys want an action item, because we're going to talk a little bit about action items, and I have this thing about something I'm calling the Groundhog Day effect. But we need to get on top of the wastewater changes that are happening at the CDC, because they gave us a chart. They said, this is what they said, this is what's happening. So basically, the CDC has been reporting variants for COVID on the weekly this whole time. It's very helpful data. It doesn't always help that much because but when we're getting ready to like select variants, or if vaccines are working, or like if BA.3.2 is emerging, because that's a bet that I'm trying to win at this moment, that it's not emerging. It is technically emerged in America finally, so you could say it has emerged here, but it's already been worldwide since 2024. It's already done its thing a ton of places. We kind of know it does. But we want to keep an eye on it, because what if it does gain a new mutation? What if it gains a JN1 mutation that helps it infect better, or make more immune evasive variants? Because those are the two problems it has. It doesn't infect as well, and it doesn't spawn tons and tons of immune evasive variants the way JN1 does. So that's why I don't think it's going to do what it does. But if any of those variables change, it could. So we got to keep an eye on it. So they're talking about moving to monthly releases.
They already did it.
Oh, they already did it. It's done.
And they put out the message saying that, and they skipped the first week. We were supposed to get new data on Friday, and we didn't. We just got this message instead.
I do think it has a lot to do with all the noise that people made over BA.3.2, which was sensationalized. I don't care what anyone says. You don't like me for saying that. It was sensationalized, and that it's not really emerging or new or any of these things the way people are saying. It does have a risk to... I agree that the risk to children is a little higher because we see more hospitalizations, we think, from this, because we assume sampling is coming from hospitalizations or kids who are really sick. Either way, someone's getting it checked. It's kind of, you have to do the extra step to get something checked out now. Again, that is a thing. But this I feel is them like hiding, because it made it sound like a new COVID variant, and it'll make it seem like COVID is back, and so this will slow down that conversation to once a month in their minds. But I think in reality, it's just going to make the people who are claiming all this stuff and sensationalizing, it's just going to give them more room to sensationalize, because we don't have the data, so we don't know. So it doesn't hide the thing from the person to make them think it's not happening. It instead instills what is your worst fear that is happening. And so it's like intimidation is best done by the person themselves. Like, if you want someone to feel intimidated, you don't like go and try to intimidate them. Something has to be created that makes them intimidated, not the like physical force. So it's the same kind of idea. They're opening people up. It's like the fear of not knowing is bigger than the fear of knowing.
And we really need to see the progression of each of these variants that are in the wastewater from week to week to see how they're growing or not. You know? Yeah,
and we are kind of like a pivotal moment where I do anticipate XFG to kind of like maybe dwindle out, which would give room for BA.3.2, or we're going to have a new XFG variant. And then this all comes back around to what are we going to do for choosing the COVID variant, which is in May. And so it's like we're only going to have, one more update between now and May? That's nuts. And so they sent us to a page where they claimed that you could read the data updated here. Anyone want to comment on whether or not you can read the data there?
No, it's impossible. To me, it's impossible. It's like you're all of a sudden going back in time to an old internet from 2001, and it's just I can't figure out how to get to anything on there.
I actually can figure out how to get to anything on there. It's not there. They don't have the coded Pango code of what the wastewater, the actual what the variant. They have the document showing they have something to add to wastewater, but they don't have the information on which type of variant it is. So they say a sample is collected, how many samples were found, in how big of a sample field, but there's no what is the sample. That wasn't in it's not in their documentation. So, and it's extremely hard to navigate. I had to just literally read everything on the screen aloud until it clicked. It's not that complicated, but you're looking for normally intuitive functionality on these types of things, and there was limited of both. So that's the thing. I do want to ask though, kind of transitions to hiding things, like what's going on in Iran. Question for the group: how does one blockade a blockade?
Yeah.
Asking for a president.
Yeah.
Well, because Iran was letting the people, certain vessels through if they paid the ransom, and they liked them. And I guess Trump's now going to keep everybody out.
I don't understand how we
Take that,
went
Iran.
from. Well, I kind of do, and take that, Iran. I'll show you. They're just like, did you see their tweet about it? They said like, I can't remember the phrasing they used. It was like how ridiculously comical. Like he's gonna blockade. Are you joking? You're not joking. That's stupid. I feel like
To open the strait, we had to close the strait.
Man, that is the art of the deal right there. This guy knows things. I do feel like this is the kiss of death of JD Vance. Once again, taking another hit. They sent JD Vance in to negotiate, and he blew up the negotiations because apparently all we know how to do is blow things up. And he was also, didn't he just meet with the guy from Hungary who just lost his election too?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like 3 for 3. Somebody had a meme about that. He meets with Pope Francis dies. He goes to support Orban loses.
Oh, didn't he meet the Queen of England right before she died too?
What?
Didn't he meet the Queen of England right before she died? There was somebody else big that he met.
I think it might have been him.
Wow.
Good Lord,
He's like the Grim Reaper going around.
Keep that guy away from anybody you like.
Yeah, well, I mean, that doesn't. I feel like that goes without saying. But in addition to that, there's also this problem, which is so. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, the whole negotiation thing was pretty crazy because they acted like. They keep acting like the United States is winning this war, and really behind the scenes, the Trump administration was the one begging for negotiations. And the only way that it even happened is because Trump came out and tweeted about the 10-point plan that Iran put forward.
Yeah, but Trump would just say anything. He just would say, he's just like, what do I gotta say to get him to say, oh yeah, I'll agree to that. Yeah, the man, I don't even know he knows how to read at this point.
And then once people started to see the 10-point plan, people started to freak out.
You mean the Israelis?
Well, the media here and just
the
people.
Democrats. Even the Democrats were like, nope, too much. You're giving Iran too much. But no, go ahead. Finish
the truth is, we lost the war.
I agree.
And there's not really, he always says they don't hold the cards. They do hold the cards, actually.
Does he know this isn't a card game?
Probably not.
We don't play this game with cards. Speaking of playing games, they're talking about doing this battleship thing, and we're gonna do a blockade. So you're gonna take our navy from around the world, and you're gonna put it all in one place.
Yeah.
They're better to bomb you with, my friend.
What does he understand how bombs work? Is someone like gotten the Sharpie out and drawn a little picture for him? Like things, boom, they blow up. Like you're talking about like all this concern about people with nukes and all this sort of stuff, and us being a world power, and you're gonna put like our whole navy in like a blockade station in one like tight area.
And the whole thing of it is like he's trying to supposedly trying to lower the prices of oil. And if you just supply and demand, like, wouldn't you want more supply to lower the prices?
It doesn't make any sense. It's completely It's completely irrational.
Yeah. And you're the whole petrodollar thing, it's they are in control of this now. Like
Right.
if they want to have a toll system, I think they'll probably be able to get away with it. I think he wants in on the action.
Of course, that's why he's doing a blockade. So like they have to pay our ships to get through. So it's like they have to pay Iran to get through there, and then they have to pay American ships. So it's not a blockade of Iran ships of Hormuz. It's blockade of every ship from Hormuz, because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to, now that the option to tax the boats who go through that strait has hit his table, he now wants that money.
Right. That's what it seems like.
I'm not sure that's what this is about, but that is definitely a factor in the whole process.
I guarantee they were trying to negotiate that in the negotiations along with the nuclear stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know. To be a fly on the wall. I mean, I'm sure China knows. When it's asked them.
There was a thing before we came on that said that I think it was New York Times saying that they offered 5 years of no enrichment, and Trump's people, well, Vance said no, we want 20 years.
Yeah, I don't even know. I feel like a lot of this has to do with like the way that we reneged on the deal has to do with Lebanon, and that Israel wants to keep bombing Lebanon. And Lebanon, I don't know if you guys know.
I think that's definitely a big part of it. Yeah.
Lebanon is very, very small. It's like 3 times the size of Gaza. It's really, really small. Like Lebanon could get bombed off the map in a couple of months. So like this is like if they can just like slow down the progress on this deal, then Israel isn't breaking the ceasefire because there is no ceasefire, and they can keep bombing Lebanon. And as long as Israel and America doesn't bomb Iran, then Israel doesn't get hit as a proxy. And it kind of just like it just feels like the same stalling tactics we've seen during the entire genocide of and Israel's expansion, where they're trying to create greater Israel, and that's what they're doing. They're just bombing everything they think is in their way of creating this map that they wear on their patches on their uniforms. So it's not even like a conspiracy theory. They talk about it.
Speaking of bombing Lebanon off the map, did you see that over the weekend?
Yeah, over 100 hits in 10 minutes.
No, I mean the actual maps.
Right. They removed all the lower cities to make it easier to argue that it's like a land without a people bullshit again.
I don't know what their thought is about that, but it's really kind of bizarre.
They do the same thing with Syrian land that's been stolen, and they call it what's it called, Heights. And,
Golan Heights.
Yeah, Golan Heights. So they
Golan
do the same
Heights.
thing where they depending on how you look at it, and they did the same thing with the West Bank, and they're doing because they have. You don't want to be like, oh, they control, but they literally have people at Google who are talking about and Facebook who are like hired specifically to do this stuff. Like,
so just on the tech company just decides we're gonna just erase these names off the map as a country is bombing another country.
Yeah, well, I mean, this kind of goes to show like the importance of having like, not having corporations in charge of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there's no laws around what they have to show on their maps, and those laws would still only work in the country the law holds. So you can't have like international law that is these corporations are actually held to. So yeah, they have the absolute power to write whatever. I mean, look at all the stuff we deal with on a call it BA.3.2 is a new emerging variant. It's like, not really. No, it's not. Oh, you're all gonna need prescriptions for your COVID vaccines, or it's just take your COVID's over. It's endemic. I mean, take your pick. For me, it's different because I did the Bernie movement stuff, or the progressive movement stuff, whatever you want to call it, and we were dealing with this with Hillary won the California primary the night before the primary was on the news in California.
Right.
Like this stuff, and I do think honestly, I think this is all at the end of the day. Ironically, it is a blueprint that like Hillary Clinton really did. Give credit where credit is due. She did like create this like blueprint on like you could just say something else, and this was the content that was in the emails that got released that people were like, it's not real. They were talking about like manipulating news reports and like how they would make things seem different or like alter so they get the outcome they want, but that's how it's carried in the press. Like the people in the press have, and they always have. The other thing is when you say this to people, like I would say if anything, Hillary Clinton improved upon William Randolph Hearst. This is like as old as newspapers. The people writing the newspapers are in control of the thing, and that's why Bezos and all these people have been buying up, all these newspapers and all this stuff. The guy who
also,
bought Daily Times.
It's also why nobody can agree on anything or believe in anything. Everything is, you have to think about, is it real or is it not real with every single story?
Yeah, but I mean, But I mean, you could say, I just feel like we got to the point where like news and what we see in these things is no better than just like social media word of mouth. You know what I mean? We've gotten to the point where like it could
Yeah.
be just as dishonest and untrustworthy. We don't really have journalism anymore. We wrote it. If anyone's interested in funding a group to create journalism, we have a proposal for this. But the point is though is that there's no journalism anymore. There's no like. I mean, we have these little groups trying to do it. They're doing their best, but we don't have like mainstream journalism. It got bought out by corporations who kept getting told on. I mean, I think the best example is Pfizer, because they get the biggest fine in the history of fines up to that point. And then what they did was they brought on the, who was it they brought on as a CEO? He was a major news guy. Reuters. The Reuters CEO got brought on as a board member, and then Reuters gives them favorable news that isn't always honest, because it isn't, there's a fiduciary responsibility. Now, the guy who's in charge of the Pfizer board member is no longer the CEO of Reuters. He stepped down right when the pandemic started. As soon as they were launching their little shtick with the government and the vaccines, they stepped down to, I guess, I don't know, try to make it seem like they weren't connected or something, because Reuters continued to give them good press. So it's not like your CEO leaves and all the people you gave their jobs to aren't still working there. So, it's a cultural issue at that point. You're like, and that's sort of where these corporations have like worked themselves into. So if they have oversight, or if they have something that like is challenging them, they just work their way into it and take it over. I mean, you can look no further than how DSA gets infiltrated by neoliberal groups to be less progressive. Or what's the one that does it? We used to have Our Revolution, which is not really a thing anymore. I think it kind of is, but it's not really. But all of its groups got infiltrated by the people doing the No Kings protest. I can't remember. Indivisible. And Indivisible is like, Indivisible people aren't bad people. They're not bad people, especially in a world full of Republicans and MAGA. But they're not like also interested in like your life getting better or progressive change. They're way more status quo. And so like for young people, it doesn't really help young people. We need to have a more like forward-thinking mentality for creating a world that we can actually exist in, where someone can buy a house and have a job, and the daycare costs aren't killing them, or maybe I think it should be single income family home ownership. That should be the goal. Single income home family home ownership. That should be the thing.
They also don't want any pro-Palestinian stuff at any of their events.
Indivisible and No Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're status quo Zionists. The Zionists, because you gotta remember what Israel is doing is the status quo. And also, they're not like, how do I say this? None of their politics has any nuance, or like action items, or like, they sign a lot of petitions, they do the fundraising. The No Kings protests are impressive, but like, a lot of that is the discontent. And again, there's no real action items other than look how many of us there are. And you're like, okay, but then people have to go to those groups and turn them into action items, which is tricky if you're not like a direct leader. But it can be, as easy as handing out flyers, or they can be as much as getting a megaphone and helping lead the group. It's totally up to what someone can navigate, like the type of leadership they perform. So that's a thing. But yeah, no, Indivisible isn't a bad group, but it's not like a good group either. So that's probably the best way to put it. Like I wouldn't go to one of their events, but I support other people who want to go.
Well, you can make use of their events to do other organizing as well.
Absolutely. I just feel like sometimes you get into like, some people think it's like parasitic organizing, where you're like trying to organize on top of other people's organizing. So you just want to figure out what that balance is, because if an organizer is organizing something I don't like, I still respect them for trying to organize it, because organizing is hard.
But those are huge events, and there's so many people.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just a great place to like connect with people and like meet, and it's more of a mingle than a march, anyways. You know what I mean? Some of them are like real marches, and some of them are just a bunch of people standing around. So it just depends. Like some things are at like parks, and great place to like connect with people who hand out flyers for an event you're doing, or trying to bring people together. So
Yeah.
Anyways, but so did we ever settle if Trump is going to be Jesus or Pope or Doctor? Just,
Yeah, that was
did we
that
ever
was
settle
pretty
that?
that was pretty wild. Like I still can't think of his train of thought there. Like, I'm in a fight with the Pope. Okay, I know what I'll do. I'll put out a AI picture of me as
He is
Jesus.
Jesus, Doctor Jesus. Would that make it Hispanic? Doctor Jesus.
He didn't even sound like he believed himself when he was lying and saying
When
he
he
was
said
a
it was a doctor.
doctor. You want to hear the clip?
Sure.
He goes,
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, "How did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor, making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better."
As of late 2025, the Trump administration significantly reduced funding for the international aid, causing the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, to slash 2,900 jobs and cut its 2026 budget by roughly 17%.
"Yep, he's cut Medicaid. We're risking about 400 hospitals being shut down because of that. His beautiful bill cut. Like, he's the furthest thing from helping people do anything."
Not just hospitals, nursing homes
That's why
are
I
going to
believe.
close, and where are those people going to go?
Yeah, scary. I mean, that's why I think he thought it was Jesus, though, because it's like all thoughts and prayers, right? Going after the Pope is just. I mean, that's like rabid animal stuff. Like, I try to avoid calling people like rabid animals because apparently it's very demeaning. But I feel like that's just like, how do we even get there?
Apparently, this was Orthodox Easter, too. I didn't
Yes.
know that. Yeah, that he put out this picture of him as Jesus
Perfect. Let's offend everybody.
after his actual Easter truth from on Easter, where he's cursing and
Yeah, that's
Crazy outlaw.
still even when you have Megyn Kelly yelling at you over that. Like, Megyn Kelly was on Fox News was like, I just want him to act like a normal person.
right. I'm glad those people are turning against him, but I haven't seen any of them really calling for like accountability. They'll be embarrassed by him. Like, I'm talking about Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, I mean I'm not trying. The last thing I want to do is defend Megyn Kelly. I feel like I wouldn't expect that from them. I feel like is what I want to say. I would not expect that from them because they're not really the type of people who, they're there to be a mouthpiece for the right. So they can't, like, if we talk about account, they got to keep the big A word out of all this conversation because, like, even though we did get a Republican who is apparently also involved with a very complicated sexually related story. I don't know what to call it, but the woman committed suicide. We hope it. I mean, did they kill? You're talking those government down? That sounded really messed up. I do not hope she committed suicide. The story is she committed suicide. I hope she was not murdered. That's what I meant. Just so we're all on the same page. That's a weird thing to have to say, but that's American politics for you.
The assistant of Gonzalez, what's his name? The Texas Republican.
Yeah, and that's been a developing story for a while, and I feel like there's a lot more like circumstantial. I don't know the details of the story. I'm sure he's a creep, and whatever led to this woman's wanting to take her own life, assuming that is what happened, is horrible. So it sucks, and I feel like we do need to get more of these people out of like public representation in any capacity. Like, I feel like this should be like a red line. What do I call it? Like a brick wall for your career to slam into. You know, you just shouldn't be. I'm just the staffer stuff and the, I don't know, cheating on your wife when you're in like a really public role, in any capacity. Cheating on your wife is wrong in any capacity, but then cheating on your wife in that capacity is so just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what are you guys doing? Like, I don't know.
So it was a bipartisan sex scandals today and politicians stepping down.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness they're out.
Swalwell and Gonzalez.
Yeah, except for the Republicans are all mad that now there's October Surprise is gone. They're like, they can see the California governorship fading away. Because there was a moment there where we were like, this does not look good. This governor polling looks horrible. It still doesn't look good. Because now, back to that again, you got, it's between Steyer and, why do I keep forgetting her name?
Katie Porter.
Katie
Porter.
Yeah, Katie Porter. And, I mean, we'll see. The next round of polling is going to be really telling. I want to see polling with Swallow out, and I feel like that's going to be really, really interesting. Kind of give us a better idea, like, what's really happening. I do want to follow up, kind of pivot a little bit away from all this terrible, terrible stuff, and I want to make it very clear, like, all this is terrible. All these people are bad. Believe women. Support, you know, if you feel like you're suicidal, please contact somebody. I take this stuff very seriously. We try to joke about things on the show, but these are very serious concepts and topics. So I don't want anyone to misconstrue any of my messaging, other than I do take it very seriously. But God, these guys are stupid. I'd rather not do a show than, you know, than if this is what we talk about, than to have this be a thing. So it's but I mean, luckily for me, I guess, I don't know. That's not a problem. But good news. Novavax in Canada. We've been on this show. If you're a new time listener, we talk a lot about protecting yourself from COVID and using Novavax. It's also known as Nuvaxovid, and it has been worldwide for a little while, and then it shrunk all the way down to pretty much just like America, Japan, and like Korea, like 5 countries. It wasn't that much, maybe a couple extras. I think Germany's had it the whole time. It's gone in and out of the UK, but Sanofi took over, and we met with Sanofi as a group. Well, 2 of us met with Sanofi last year. We had tried to give them a good layout on like what. It was a free meeting too. They didn't pay me, which maybe I messed that up. I should have played that differently. But it was just about the priority on getting in there and talking to them about make sure it's available and making sure we can keep using it for long COVID and how that process works. I had to explain to them how that the mechanisms to their science guy. And their science guy was like nodding his head like an evil scientist through the whole thing. He was fun. I wish I would have connected with him better. But he was a good time. He was like, he's like, you're always on Reddit saying the right thing. How do you know the answer? And you're like, because we made it the answer. It's been a long process. But he's a good guy. Anyways, so we met them. So now they're expanding to Canada because there have been a hang up over production. And they wanted Novavax to produce it in the country, but that just wasn't really possible with where we were with it. And so that kind of held up Canadians getting it. And they've had to come to America, which has become more and more toxic with how ICE has been handling on the borders. And that has not slowed down, by the way. Vermont is where it's been going off recently. But a lot of that's being suppressed on social media now. So there is still ICE. There was also I don't know how else to say this. It was raining dildos in Los Angeles. We didn't talk about this, but there was a protest. What? Yeah, there was a protest in Los Angeles against the ICE thing. And there's like pictures with like 30 dildos on the ground. And they were sticking them with suction cups to like police cars, both on the windows, and like it was a unicorn or something like.
Nice hood ornament.
Yeah. Sorry.
So what was this signifying? What are the dildos signifying?
I think they're trying to embarrass him. You know, they're
this
like
is an anti-ICE protest.
Yeah, it's an anti-ICE protest, and they were like just throwing dildos at the cops, which is a crime because it is a weapon technically. Just heads up on that, but it's hilarious. So I don't know, maybe it's worth it. Yeah, I don't know if there were any arrests or anything like that, but they were some great pictures that are definitely worth looking up. And they're just trying to embarrass them and kind of shame them and make them not want to do the job, which is, the best way to beat. And I saw another article on this. Is like Don's just repeating stuff he reads. That's how everybody does. I saw this whole thing about how the best way to beat this technocrat thing that we're dealing with, was whatever you want to call them, is just to be really, really annoying.
Mhm.
This is a policy that I had back during the progressive movement, where I would explain that being annoying is not illegal.
And the theater aspect of it gets attention too.
Yeah. Whatever keeps getting clicks, 'cause especially when you're like suppressing, when the ICE protests are being suppressed, you need something like raining dildos, apparently, to get people's attention back on it. I don't know. That's why
Or
I
like dressed up as like a stuffed animal, or like
yeah. The turtles and those were really funny in Seattle.
singing songs and
Yeah, but it's gone more violent. I understand in like Vermont and some other places, and other people have died. We haven't talked about them as much, and we are holding people in concentration camps, which is crazy. But point I was trying to make, which by the way, if getting those people out of your concentration camps isn't on your mind all the time, like I could start every show with like that, because should be the topmost priority to close these and end these and get these people reconnected with their families, the children that have been separated. Like, we're just going through the same mess again in such a higher, worse level. Like, we're going straight Nazi Germany. If Trump could stay in power longer, this would get. It's already, in my opinion, past what is like worse. I shouldn't even say that, because it's so far past anything humanity should be allowed to force people to endure. Yeah, and I feel like this kind of.
abolishing. It should be about abolishing ICE and going back to the way that it used to be.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Going back to the old system
But the point I was trying to make was Novavax in Canada, and now people won't have to come to Canada to deal with ICE. And hopefully, by the time that this is even happening in Canada, where access actually happens, we've gotten ICE into like a box that we can handle a little better. But it could be as soon. Actually, I don't know if you're still here, Biff. But let's get to the end of the show. Is that intended to roll out this year?
Yeah, that is this year.
Okay, I thought so. Cool. And the UK is getting it too, right? But only through the federal government.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. But that's progress.
But that's for this spring. That's happening right now in the UK. So by the time the fall rolls around, it might be private again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then was the we were looking at have we heard anything? I had heard like our current standing point was on May 31st was when, and don't wait till the end of the month if you're going to go in May. Go in the beginning of the month, because they always get sent back. But I heard someone say they didn't expect any batches after May 31st. The distributors. And I wasn't sure if that had changed at all.
No, that's correct, and that's directly from Sanofi, because that was through VaxServe, so that's another one of Sanofi's direct outlets. So that's from Sanofi themselves.
Okay. Which I would expect not to have. I expected a gap, because the expiration dates would be overlapping into when the new one should be releasing. And we are trying to get the vaccines released earlier in time for school year. That's one of the things we've been pushing for as a group. And we'll have some action items coming up on that for VRPAC and ACIP. But we really should be pushing, because it's less important the public help with the variant we choose, because we're going to get a lot of data last minute. And it's I think this year it's going to be either like MB181 and XFG seem to be going back and forth, but it doesn't look like MB181 is taking it over worldwide. And I believe they're close enough that XFG is really the one we should target, because it's the furthest from where we are, and it's very close to LP81. Like they're barely any different. So, but I feel like we have so much persistence and all these other issues, and BA32 just does not look like it's going to do the thing. But it's a great time to cut wastewater to the public, just so that we
really.
Yeah, right. But I feel like some of this caused something I'm calling a Groundhog Day effect. And I feel like we see a lot of people, we were talking about this on pre-call, where it's like, you see these people post these things, and you're like, but we know this already. We learned this 3 years ago. For me, it's sort of like, I wrote this big, huge, long COVID article in 2021. I released it in early 2022. And I spent months on it. And it is the first cumulative explanation of long COVID. And it has so much material in it. I look at it and I go, who wrote this? How was I? It was part of my long COVID recovery. I like just recovered from my first stage of recovery, and I was like, oh my god, exploded writing these two huge papers. One's on Medium and one's on Substack. And it did well, got like 120,000 reads, so it was like, a lot of people read it. God did get a lot, we built this, what we're doing now, the move for Novavax, on the back of that, so it did work. But we see people, like, republishing news almost daily of things that are in my long COVID article. Now, that's not to say that they didn't advance in subject. It's just the way it gets talked about is like sensationalized. Oh my god, this new thing we just learned to discover, look at this. And it's because they're not really trying to get like a cumulative wisdom thing going on where it's like, okay, this is how this builds and all the things that's what I always try to do, where we talk, we've learned all this stuff and this is what we're learning from this and that this is what this means, and this, even if it's repeating, it reaffirms what we already know or have learned, and that's apparently not exciting. That doesn't get people clicking on your stuff and giving you dopamine drips. So people post these things of sensationalizing, all these things that we already know, and it creates what I've been talking about calling the Groundhog's Day effect. And I feel like, if you're listening to this call, which please give us a like and a share or whatever it is that people do these days. I think people always forget to like the post. Like, we have a good amount of listeners, but like they listen and then it's over. Like, don't forget to like the post, guys. Thank you. I brought it up in the Discord. Don't forget to like it, and it got a lot more likes. So I was like, oh, thanks, guys. But I'm looking at all you too, Lit Talkers. You're on the show talking. Where are the RTs? Anyways, give me a little shit. But I feel like the Groundhog Day effect is just this thing we need to get away from, where it doesn't allow for progress. It's sort of like we get to a point and then it never really changes past that point because everyone's just rediscovering the same thing over and over and over again. And in that particular instance, they were talking about something we already knew, but in the context of creating a new treatment. And you got it when you see these things, and the final point is this could lead to new treatments. That is a person selling a treatment. That is not a person selling science. And I need people to understand this because it's very convoluted and complicated. When we switched to the for-profit pandemic, that included everything is for profit now. So any bit of information leads to something that will create profit for that person. It's not like we're going to do this to understand it better. They're going at it to get funding so that they can have funding. It's not like, oh, this new actual thing. It's just how people spin things, and when they say it slightly differently because it has to sound like not like the last thing, but it's still the same thing. And I feel like we would all do better to keep an eye on who the people are that are just sensationalizing news all the time for the sake of sensationalizing news. And that's not to say that those people are not valuable. They have extreme value. It's just not where you're going to get like your, what do we do? Your action item. What do we do with this information? And that's, I feel like, where you need to have both and not let one overwrite the other. Just because someone doesn't have action items doesn't mean that action items can't exist. So there you go. That's all I have to say about that. I don't know. My kids are having a hard time keeping it down, so I think it's time to wrap it up. They're adorable, so whatever. So we're a Brace for Impact. We're here on Mondays and Thursdays. Gives you lots of time to listen to replay. You can follow us on social media. And look at the, we have a Discord, which a lot of people do, but it's a lot of COVID conscious, COVID safe sort of stuff. We do ask people to give like their COVID safe social media to try to get through the door. It's a human, so it takes a second, but it just keeps the whole community, I think more preserved, less chaotic, which is, I don't know, with everything going on, anything to be less chaotic is like, it could be extremely chaotic and be less chaotic than what we're dealing with. So, Jesse, you got a question before we go. What are your predictions for Trump and Iran the rest of this week?
I do not know. I saw before we came on here, there was a story that there's going to be another meeting on Thursday. Negotiate. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they'll be doing it remotely. I doubt they'll all be going back to Pakistan. But I, just like probably the Iranians, don't trust Trump because, every time there's some sort of deadline or some sort of thing scheduled, it's rarely what actually happens. So hopefully, something nefarious isn't going to happen before this meeting, and
I just
hopefully they
hope
come to some kind
they
of
don't.
conclusion.
I hope they don't bait him into putting like a bunch of our warships in the Strait of Hormuz in a line to create a blockade. Because then what are we gonna do? Start firing on ships that try to get through? Like, and then what are we now? We're a huge target. So all of our navy, like, how much of a superpower? Like, how long would it take to replace like 2/3 of our navy if you stuck it there? Like, how much navy would you need to create a blockade? And how much lethal intent would you have to have? And then the second you displayed lethal intent to like a Chinese ship, then that Chinese ship can just blow then the Chinese come in and blow everything out of the water because you're basically on their side of the planet. Like he got all of our sonar systems wiped. Not sonar, early detection radar systems knocked out. So is he going to lose our entire navy too? And then what? How fast do we rebuild that navy? Like, it's just, this thing is just so freaking bonkers.
It just opens it up for more escalation, or a mistake even to happen where there's more escalation. And we really don't need any more escalation. This is already going to be bad enough. I mean, there's already like 3,000, I think, Iranians that were killed so far. I think 2,000 people in Lebanon. This war with Iran was completely unnecessary. Like, Trump needs to face justice for this. He's got to see. I mean, if he lives long enough, he's got to see justice for this. We can't keep allowing, this kind of stuff to take place.
Yeah, this is not the same as what George Bush or even Obama did. This is like a whole other level. George Bush went to Congress and did a lot of the evil shit that Trump wants to do, but he went to Congress first, so it was legal. You could say whatever you want about it, but it's I hate it.
Yeah, Bush spent months actually lying to the public and Congress
and the UN.
And the UN, but they never actually approved it. The UN. It was the defense authorization, and it wasn't even an actual war declaration that happened in Congress for Iraq. So it was, like it should have been. But yeah, he took months propagandizing the country and lying us into the war in Iraq, and estimated 1 million people are dead because of that.
I guess we should be happy that Trump is as lazy as he is, because if he was like any more actually on it, we'd actually be in like truly catastrophic, like apocalyptic era times. But the guy just is like, I mean, we kind of are depending on how you look at it, but I don't think we're there quite yet. I think there's still a little bit of time to. And midterms, I mean, it doesn't look like the SAVE Act is going to pass. They did pass some SAVE Act ballot initiatives type stuff in other, not ballot initiatives, but like, the House and Republican states, they passed their version of the SAVE Act. So like some people's votes are going public, and some people, like, there's some crazy stuff going down with how voting is handled in, I think, Utah and maybe Louisiana, maybe Texas, one of those. There's just, it's where you would expect it. The typical, right-wing, completely red states are just starting to implement their own version of it, and it's going to be a total mess. Like, it's going to be, like, people's private information is going public, like where you live and stuff, and what your party preference is. It's crazy.
But a democratic takeover is kind of like the only little piece of hope out there is like for any kind of accountability. I mean, they better do it this time, but they've let me down so many times in the past.
I know, that's the thing, right? So we need people to get through the primary who will actually hold people accountable, and that's, I think, asking a lot in this atmosphere. Only, not that it should be, but I feel like people are just kind of. Yeah. That's why it's not about vote blue no matter who. It's vote blue, it matters who.
Right.
I stand by
Which
that.
That race that we were all excited about, that we did that whole show on the primary for Anahila Mejia.
Right.
That race is on Thursday night. So hopefully she wins that.
Yeah, get out and vote or do something if you can. But we were looking. Biff was giving us the gambling markets and showed her at 100%. So I feel like it's normally any district that like swayed Democrat before is going to go all in on Democrats right now. I mean the move in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district alone, we couldn't win it, but it was significant. So and you're back to, can Trump win those voters back? Is he? And the thing is like, you gotta remember, however we are right now, Trump is only going to make things worse.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say, oh well, it's this bad right now. Well, how bad is it gonna be? It's gonna be way worse. And that's sort of like, by the time, like, he's just gonna lose more and more of these voters, and there's no clear like person to take over MAGA or be the next big MAGA personality, because he's alienating anyone who could be. So,
Yeah.
like, the whole thing's gonna be super toxic, and I feel like there's gonna be a major divide in the Republican Party when MAGA finally decides somebody to be the like person to take over for Trump when he's not here to do whatever. And then that'll be a fight between the conservative thing, but they're not going to have the magnetism. Because say what you want about Trump, he has a magnetism with these people. Like, I don't like it, but it's there. Can't deny it. And so,
Oh,
yeah.
that thing I was saying before about Megyn Kelly, I didn't really. She, like, when she talks about the Iran situation, it's all sort of seems based in like, that was a stupid move, or like a policy disagreement of like, what is he thinking kind of thing.
Sure.
Rather than like, this should have never happened in the first place, and this is an illegal war of aggression.
Say that though. I feel like Megyn Kelly going off after the Easter tweet, being like, "I just wanted to say something normal." I feel like was hilarious, and anyone should go. I hope it's not AI. I hope it's real. At this point, I didn't check, so I assumed it's real. But
I guess we just can't depend on those type of people to be voting for people that we like. It's more just
no, yeah, you
not voting
can't.
for-
Well, it's a question of if whether or not Trump is losing these voters, because the more he loses these voters, the more they swing Democrat right now, because when he's like, Trump's out of line, we need to put Trump in. And this is pretty normal for midterms, when the president comes in being like, I'm going to be president, and the voters are like, well, we're going to give you a Congress that won't let you do that.
or the voters just don't show up. Like, they don't actually vote for the Democrat, but they don't come out at all to vote.
Yeah, but I think this is one thing we can say about the No Kings protest and this trying to pass the SAVE Act and ICE and rounding people up and starting legal wars, is that people are like, voting got us into this mess, and voting will get us out of this mess. And that's the thing that people need to, like, we hear people say voting won't get us out of this. Well, it certainly got us in this.
Yeah.
So, like, if you think it won't get us out of this, then it's just going to get us more in this, because it does do something. Whatever that thing is, you want to argue for where that thing is? Fine.
I don't really know what the alternative is either.
Yeah,
like, what else you can do?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're like, you need to get, and they're always like, you need violent revolution. I'm like, you're an anonymous account on Twitter. You're telling me to go be violent? When did this is allowed? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, violent. We shouldn't. We rain dildos, apparently.
How's that going to get you Medicare for all?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's the right. It doesn't seem like it's the right methodology. So I don't know. I don't know. By Thursday, this is all going to be developed, and it'll be a brand new world. And that's the problem with how fast things are moving. The calls don't stay evergreen long enough to be like, you can listen to them on the next call, and then it's kind of starting over. But we're going to keep being here, trying to break it down.
By Thursday, Trump could, alienate some other religious group.
He can nuke someone at this point. Oh my god.
Or yeah.
He can, like, there's so many things like, literally, I cannot predict what is going to happen. Like, he went after the Pope. Like, I don't.
He prefers popes that are tough on crime.
And hard on nukes, right? Or
That actually, just when I said that, reminded me of, remember when he said about John McCain, that he said, I prefer people who don't get...
people who don't get caught.
Yeah. Because he was McCain was a prisoner of war.
Yeah. No, McCain, say what you want, like, we do honor people. Like, McCain was like a war hero, whether you agree with war or not. Like, he survived intense torture. He's the reason that we have, like, he was the deciding vote on that big healthcare vote. When
he did the thumbs down thing.
They had enough votes to get rid of ACA, and he was like, nah, we're not going to do it. And that was like, that was probably more defined him than anything he did. And I wonder, because that was after his presidential run, so like I wonder if that was kind of like a screw you at the time.
To Trump.
Yeah.
It definitely
Definitely was, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, awful. All right, let's wrap it up. All right, guys, thank you everyone for being here. The people who hung out the whole time, we got hanging out to the end and kind of run long. I always say, if you guys got to go, it's fine. So we don't say goodbye as a group. But we'll be back on Thursday, and we'll be kind of carrying on a little bit more about this as we do. All right, everyone, give the show a like. You can follow us on Twitter, and we're gonna be on TikTok soon. Apparently, we have a TikTok account. We can live there, and now that I got my connection issues worked out, we're gonna be cross streaming there real soon.